night, all night. There's magic coursing throughout my veins. I don't want it to stop. I feel invincible in every way.
Woohoo! All right. How would you like to boost your nutrition without spending a bunch of time and a bunch of money? And if you are spending money right now on sprouts and microgreens in the grocery store, then you are going to save yourself some cash and you'll get a fresher product. Woohoo! All right.
Yay!
Now, I know this might sound crazy, but sprouting is not complicated. It's actually super simple. And the best news is that it takes no skill. No
Yes.
skill.
I
It
like
does
what I'm
not
hearing.
need a green thumb. And you don't even have to have any soil or dirt. So it doesn't have to be messy. All right. And if I can do it, anyone can do it. You can do it because if I can do it, you can do it. You know why? Because I do not have a green thumb. Any plants that come into my house do not make it very far at all. We have two plants that actually have survived. And the only reason they've survived is because we've abused them and forget to water them. I don't know. So if I can do it and I can grow sprouts and I can grow microgreens, if I can do it, you can do it too. So get ready. Today we are going to actually get our hands not dirty, but wet with some sprouting. We're going to talk about the equipment and we're going to actually set up our sprouts to get going so that we can track them. And I know this is sprouting week, but we're going to end up going into next week because it's a little longer for some of the things to actually get to full grown. So are you guys ready? It's the Daily Energy Bite, and this is your daily dose of vitality. So I am really thrilled to be here and can hardly wait to get my hands wet in all of these things. All right, are we ready to go?
Yes.
We are ready.
So yesterday we talked about sprouting, and we said that sprouting was super simple because there's 3 steps to it. The first one is that you soak your seeds or your nuts. The second step is that you sprout them. And the third step is that you either plant them or grow them, or you can ferment them. And we are going to do it all. Okay. We're starting today. We're going to do it all. So you'll see a little bit about how to do everything so that you can go with what you have equipment at home and you can actually grow your own sprouts. And why do we want to grow sprouts? They are super nutritious. They are what you take the plant and it's going to, the seed is what's going to grow that plant into, like our vegetables and our fruits and everything. So usually it's vegetables, but that's all, they've got all the nutrients packed in there and they're pre-digested. So they're easy to digest, lots of health benefits. And my mentor, Danielle Arsenault from Pachavega would say, everybody should eat some kind of sprouts every day. It doesn't have to be a lot because they're power punches of nutrients, but have some sprouts, add a little bit here and there. And that will set you up for nutrient dense meals and all that stuff. So let us get going. So yesterday we talked about nuts. and how we should be soaking our nuts before we use them, because they have an enzyme inhibitor layer on them. And so if you soak them, then you will dissolve that enzyme inhibitor layer. And what that does is it actually detracts from, it's not just, it's not good for us in terms of that. It's when the enzyme inhibitor is on the plant or on the seeds or the nuts, what it's doing is it's protecting them from, one, growing, two, going rotten, and also going rancid. So, but not only are they not good for us, they also are detracting from our nutrients. So, if you learn anything from this week, it's that you should sprout or sprout. They call it sprouted, but really it's soaking your nuts before you use them. And I wanted to show you an example. So this morning, I took some walnuts and I put them in a mason jar to soak. And they don't have to soak that long. So I would probably soak these for about 12 hours. I have a chart which you can get if you hang on. By the end of the sprouting week, we are going to have a guide to sprouting that you can get online, and it will have the chart in there about how long you should be soaking and sprouting your seeds and your nuts. So I don't know, you can see how brown this water is. This is from 2 hours. That's 2 hours. And what I can say is I don't really like the taste of the walnuts if you just eat them raw. But once they're sprouted, they have a much milder flavor to them, because I think that enzyme inhibitor layer is bitter. So yeah, so I'm going to take these, soak them, rinse them, soak them again, and then by tomorrow morning, I'm going to have them in my dehydrator to dry them out. But this is just going to give you an idea of what's in that enzyme inhibitor layer. It's pretty brown water. All right. So that was my first thing. So what do you need for equipment? Pretty much you can do sprouting with any jar. I have mason jars. I've got all sorts of sizes of mason jars. Here's I guess this is a pint or a 50 milliliter mason jar. So that I've got some sprouts in here that this is I've soaked these overnight already. And this is a sandwich blend here. So I use a mason jar. I have these lids this is my favorite. Okay. Other people have their own favorites, but I love these lids. And you can see they have little notches on here, because when you get to the soaking stage, you're going to be rinsing them with water periodically, and then you're going to want to drain the water out, and basically all you're going to do is dump this upside down and keep it upside down so that the water is draining off while you're sprouting the seeds. And so because of these little lips here, there's 3 of them, they keep the container, when you turn it upside down, off of the I guess top of it. And I'm just going to take this off and show you that it's got holes in it. So, and some of these seeds are very small. I got to put it over here. Some of the seeds are very small, and they're fine. Like some of them are kind of trying to poke through, but for the most part, and then the water goes through. You can see this little, I guess, looks like a half a finger, has a little bit. The water can drain through faster. So when I put this lid on when I'm washing them out. Same thing with my walnuts. I usually put the water through the little hole in there and just drain it. And then when it's full of water, I just turn it upside down in the sink, rinse it off a couple of times. And then either I'm going to fill it up with water again to continue soaking, or I'm going to turn it upside down on a little plate just to catch any drips that might come off, and then let it sprout from there. So these are my favorite because it's so easy. Now, if you don't have the sprouting lids, you can use a mesh. So I have a milk bag, so I can use this. And what I could do instead is put this over top to drain it out. Like, oops, you can't see it. Put my little mesh net or cheesecloth over top. And then you can use that to drain it. But I like things super simple. And this was a pretty small investment. It was not that expensive to get. They come in a package of 3. They're mason jar tops. And you can get them on Amazon, probably other places. And if you want to do sprouting, this is an easy way to do it. And mason jars are pretty affordable. I have a ton of them. You can use them for storing things in your pantry. You can use them for all sorts of, if you make salad dressings yourself, you can put the salad dressings in, and you can use it for sprouting. They're very versatile. So those are a couple of pieces of very simple equipment. And if you don't have a mason jar, if you have a jar from something, like a jar of pickles or a jar of mustard or something, whatever, you can rinse it out and you can use that, right? So you don't have to have mason jars, but mason jars are very inexpensive relative to other things. Because you get, I think, usually 12 in a case. All right, so there's this is a sprouting tray. It's a stackable sprouting tray. This is another thing that you can do. You still have to soak your seeds, but this tray, so it has 3 compartments. The first, it's got a lid. I've got stainless steel here. You can get plastic. So it's got a screen here. And so once you've soaked your seeds, you can put them in here and let them sprout. And this one is stackable. It's got 2 layers of the screen, and then the bottom one is just a tray, so you can rinse the water through and let the water drip into the tray. So you can do two at one time. And so what I'm going to do is these are ready to start sprouting. So I'm going to put them in here. And hopefully I don't make a big mess, okay? And you can't even see it. But I'm just going to throw these in here, my seeds. Oh, I'll fix that up later. But all I'm going to do, of course, the seeds don't come out. There they come. All right. So I've got my seeds. This is a live demo. I'll fix it up more, but I'm just going to spread them out on the tray. And then you can see that I'll spread them out on the tray, and then they're going to start sprouting. So this is my sandwich blend that I got. And so it's going to be one of my layers. And then I'm also I have broccoli sprouts. So here's I basically bought the sandwich blend from Ohm Kitchen, which is a mail order place in Canada that has great organic products, including they have some different seeds that you can use for sprouting. So this one says sandwich sprouting blend. It has alfalfa, red clover, daikon radish, China rose radish, mung beans, and broccoli seeds. So it's got a bunch of different ones. So you get it like a combo. So this is a small pack that I got. And you really don't need to put a lot. Do not fill them up, your jars, too much, because they do expand as they sprout. So you don't want to expand them too much. Like my walnuts here are already expanding as well. That's half. It was less than half of a container when I put the walnuts in. So they do expand as they go. So that's that one. I also have some broccoli sprouts here that I started, and they're ready to pour in here. So the broccoli sprouts are smaller ones. Those seeds are very small. I don't know if you can see, but they're little tiny seeds. The other one has like the mung beans are bigger, and so they have different sizes. But this one is all very small, little, looks like little beads. And you can see I've been soaking them. And so you can see the little husks, they're starting to come off. I don't know if you can see that. Some of it's white now. And
Yes.
all right. So I'm going to pour that in here, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about broccoli sprouts, and we're going to watch these as they grow. All right. So I've got broccoli sprouts. Ooh, that one came out better than the other one. I'm just going to flatten it out a little bit. And so I'm going to put this on probably my kitchen counter with the lid on and just let them sprout. And you still need to rinse them off every day, at least twice a day while they're sprouting. And we're going to watch as they go. So broccoli sprouts are really exceptional for their high quality of nutrition. And when you compare it to the actual mature broccoli that we eat, they actually have higher nutrition value than the broccoli, but that's okay. Both are good. So it's hard to know exactly what the differences are, the benefits of the broccoli sprouts. But one of the things, they are very rich in, let me try glucoraphain, which is the precursor to sulforaphane, and sulforaphane is in the cruciferous family of the only place you get them is in the cruciferous family, and they have been known to be a cancer fighter. So they're a potent antioxidant. And when they looked at broccoli sprouts versus mature broccoli, the broccoli sprouts were about 50 times more potent with the glucoraphain than the actual broccoli. So you know, there's some real amazing benefits from the sprouts for sure. So they're also rich in other bioactive compounds. They've got vitamin C, vitamin K, folate, fiber, and various other antioxidants. So broccoli sprouts are great. The other thing, which we'll talk about once we sprout them, is you can actually buy broccoli sprouts that are dried and just sprinkle them on your food too. And you know, when you're cooking, you can even put some of these things so that your family doesn't even need to know. You know, if you have kids, they don't even need to know that you put them in the food. Sometimes that's the way you need to do it. As soon as they know it's there, they're not so happy. All right, I got to put this on let me put this down because otherwise I'm going to have a mess. Okay. All right. So that's those. The other things I've got here. So we're going to do some more sprout. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, when I get this out, I'm going to add some more sandwich sprouts and broccoli sprouts. And we're going to do it two ways, in the little stackable container. And we're going to also do them just in the jar. You don't have to take them out of the jar at all. You can leave them in there. So it's really your preference. So the other things I have here is I am sprouting lentils. So I've got this, I've just started this. I just put the water today, and you notice this is a bigger container, and I've got the same mason jar lid. So these fit on the wide mason jar. So there's a regular size mason jar and a wide mouth. You need the wide mouth one. And I like the wide mouth better anyway because they're easier to clean, easier to put things in. I don't really care for the regular ones. So I have some regular ones, but most of mine are these wide mouth. And so this one I just put in, you can see it's start a little bit yellow. So there may be some, they're going to lose their shell. They're going to peel off the husk. And the water's a little bit yellow from the soaking. It's been soaking for about an hour. And so these are going to sprout. And once they're sprouted, the lentils, you can actually eat them sprouted. Whereas, I mean, you're not going to eat this is a green lentil. They're like little pellets when when you put them in the water. And so when you sprout lentils, it actually increases their protein content and improves the bioavailability of the amino acids, which is so it's basically taking the amino acids or the protein down to its component part, which is the amino acid. So taking it to a simple compound, which we talked about yesterday, which is easier for us to digest. It becomes pre-digested, if you will. So it's actually enhancing the absorption into our body. And so the sprouts actually can break down phytic acid and enzyme inhibitors and improve the absorption of nutrients like iron, zinc, and calcium in that. And lentil sprouts have, just some calcium, lentils have some calcium, but once you sprout them, the calcium levels go through the roof and they become quite high, one of the higher values of calcium. So there's a lot of benefits to actually doing the sprouting for sure. And again, they're more digestible and they also still retain their fiber. So they're high in fiber, which supports our digestion and health and helps us be full and feel full and helps to regulate our blood sugar. So lots of benefits from the lentils and sprouting the lentils. I'm also sprouting here for us quinoa. So I've got the quinoa here. Again, you can see it's a little bit yellow. And when they sprout, because they're pretty small, they have like little tiny sprouts. They look really cute. They're little tiny. If you have bad eyesight like me, it's hard to see them. So anyway, but sprouting quinoa, actually, like everything else, it increases the nutrient availability. It's more bioavailable. And then it also increases your vitamins and your minerals and your amino acids that you can absorb. It improves the digestion and the digestibility of the quinoa. And then again, because we're taking the enzyme inhibitor off, it's actually going to reduce the anti-nutrients or those compounds that can interfere with the absorption of the nutrients into the body. And it actually enhances the flavor of the quinoa. It makes it a milder flavor and a softer texture if you sprout it before you use it. And quinoa as well is another one that once it's sprouted, if you wanted, you can eat just like that, raw. And so some people find it more palatable to eat the quinoa after it's been sprouted. But as we talked yesterday, there's so many benefits to doing the sprout first. But, we don't even really think about it. We just use it. And it's not widely known that we should be sprouting and doing all of this stuff. And really, you just need to soak it. And what we're going to do with this quinoa is we're going to actually ferment it and make a drink out of it. That's very nice, very simple to do, but it'll be a fermented drink. All right. Now I have one more, and that is, this is wheat berries that I'm sprouting here. So wheat
Okay,
berries.
one time I had a salad made out of wheat berries and I loved it. It was so good. And I've never heard of it before. So it's so interesting that you've got these wheat berries. I've heard
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
Okay, so wheat berries, and I have some here, in my little bag here, the wheat berries. So the little wheat berries, I don't know if you can see them. Maybe I'll try to show you a few.
Oh, okay.
They're little,
Nice.
they're not too little, but they actually are, it's like they have two halves to them once you start sprouting them. This is actually, when we're done with this, we're actually going to grow wheatgrass from the wheat berries. So this is an organic wheat berry, and it's going to make wheatgrass out of it. But I have had a wheat berry salad too, and I loved it. It's very good. Ooh, maybe we should do that for our in the kitchen segment, Kathy.
Ooh, yum.
Hungry. Yeah. Wheat berry salad is very nice. All right. So the last thing I'm going to talk about, because I'm thinking, oh, we're sprouting all of this stuff. What about sprouting rice? So I looked into it because we kind of don't really see that. But I looked into it because I thought that was interesting that I don't see, other than we sprouted wild rice, which really isn't rice. But I've sprouted wild rice before. But when you just look at like your whole grain rice, they can be sprouted, but it's so complicated. It's not the same as when you're doing some of these other things. So, your grains, quinoa, wheat, or barley. The rice doesn't have as much enzyme activity as the other grains. And so that also makes the process of sprouting them more challenging and less reliable. So some people will choose to sprout their rice for improved digestibility, increased nutrient availability, and so some of the health benefits. But if you're interested in sprouting rice, it has to be an unprocessed grain, like a wild rice or a brown rice, where it has the germ and the bran intact. And also, this one comes with a warning that you have to be very careful about the food practices. And that's because it takes more time and effort. You have to soak it longer. And so it has more reason in the complexity of the process to actually go wrong. And so you have to be very careful. So definitely that's probably why. I mean, we hardly see anything about sprouting some of these other things. So the fact that the rice is even harder to sprout because it takes longer, you have to soak it for longer and all that stuff. It becomes subject to bacteria. And I just thought that, no thanks, it's not for me. That's all I can say. And I have, yeah. So I've done. I like to cook. What is it? Black rice, which is also known as forbidden rice. And I know when we were doing it in my class with Danielle at Pachavega, we did soak it for a bit, but it wasn't like to sprout it. We just soaked it for I think a few hours before we cooked it. And honestly, it might soften it up a bit, but to me, we also just cooked it at home. Usually I just cook it straight away. I don't soak it. So, I mean, it's a choice, but I just thought it was interesting about the rice. So are there any questions from our little demo and all these sprouting? I'm excited to see them progress over the week.
I think those lids are a big win for me because I tried cheesecloth. Yeah, I tried cheesecloth for something else for like when I was trying to. It was like a fine something that it wasn't sprouting. It was something else, and everything seemed to stick to the cheesecloth. Like I
Yeah.
really had to work to get it back in there. So I like these lids because that seems like, you know, you can just put
Yeah.
the water in the other way and it automatically washes it off.
Yeah, these for me and kind of my simple life, I don't like to do things very quick and easy and not have to fuss too much. This is the win. These ones are definitely a win. I highly recommend them if you want to do any sprouting, and it's so easy. And just think of all the money you can save if you're doing your own sprouting versus getting the stuff at the store. And tomorrow we're going to talk more about microgreens, where and how you can actually grow to microgreens. And so I've got a couple things to talk about there. But you always start with the soaking, no matter what. And so these have been a real great purchase. I like them so much, I went out and bought another set. All right. So that was all that I had for today for our sprouting. We are going to continue tomorrow, and we're going to talk about microgreens. So what's the same and what's different with the microgreens compared to our sprouts? Because there is some difference, but microgreens is just taking it to the third level, which is the growing on that. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. So remember to stay energized and do your sprouting if you have a chance. We will be back here tomorrow at 2 p.m. And if you are a vitality seeker and you are looking to improve your health, then be sure to follow for more tips like this. And on that note, I'm going to say goodbye and we'll see you tomorrow.